I'd like to return to a segment we used to do every week, Religious Right Nut of the Week, because an old familiar face is back explaining why Putin invaded Ukraine. So those two things I'd like to talk about. And
Is it Pat Robertson? Did he come out of retirement? Is that who
yes, he
you're going to
did.
bring up?
He literally came back. He, of course, left his show, but he came back one day earlier this week to explain what's going on. And this
Well,
is the
good.
Pat
So
I
clarity.
knew.
Now we.
He's here. He said, look, um, Pat Robertson said that Putin was compelled by God to invade Ukraine, that we have to understand that. And you'd say, well, why is that? And he said, because of the book of Ezekiel says that all of the nations will eventually turn against Israel. Now you'd say, well, wait a minute. Ukraine, that's not Israel. But he went on to say that God is getting ready to do something big. And he implied that this big event is going to potentially lead to the end of history. And you say, well, it doesn't make any sense. But then you have to look at how he interprets the book of Ezekiel. In the Old Testament of the Bible, Ezekiel talks about a prince of Rosh, R-O-S-H. And that obviously means to some of the Christians who really don't understand anything about Judaism, Rosh must mean Russia. That makes perfectly good sense. Rosh
Okay.
equals Russia. And then, of course, in the various places in the Bible, there's a discussion of Gog, the king of Magog. And people always wonder, well, what does that mean? He knows. Gog, doesn't that start with the same letter as Georgia, which is now part of Russia?
No, it's making
Very
sense.
clear.
I like
Doesn't
it.
this make complete sense? Now, I do
Right.
want to say to people that, of course, when I worked at Americans United, Pat Robertson and I had enormous numbers of battles. Back in 1992, which is 10 years before I got to Americans United, he said that there would be judgment by God on the world by the end of 1982. I was there in 92, 82. That didn't pan out. Then I was there, though, in 2006 when he predicted that the entirety of the Pacific Northwest of the United States would be destroyed by a tsunami. He's a little off on that one, too. And then he also predicted in 2020 not only that Donald Trump would, in fact, be elected, but that shortly after his election, an asteroid would hit the Earth and destroy it. So he's really big on this idea that the whole world's going to be destroyed. He knows the time. He knows how it's going to happen. It's just that he's been off. And I
Mhm.
have a feeling he's off about this. But I'm glad he came back just to tell his beloved listeners and viewers why Putin went to Ukraine. And that makes perfectly good sense to him. And unfortunately, to a lot of his followers as well. That's, that's the clearest understanding of what's going on in Ukraine that I've heard in the last week.